One. We're on. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Sunday night stream on the Weekend Dojo. Tonight, you will be hosted by myself, El Chisel Reviews.
JT Games TV, and eventually Kenman Ryder. Proton, sorry.
He's like, he's still shifting his channel title around. We will let you know what the final decision is. Anyway, so tonight we have three topics to cover. We have, we're going to start with gamepads and some of our best, worst, and weirdest memories with them. Then we're going to move on to plug and play games. Again, some of the best, worst, and weirdest. And then we're going to dip into a topic that you guys suggested over on the Twitter page. Thank you for finally giving us a topic. We're going to be talking about podcasts and all the varieties that we have and why there are so many. So, to kick things off, why don't we start with our best gamepad based memories? JT, why don't you start?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I've got a couple. The first one I'll start off with is one that it's not the best gamepad, but okay, how to put it? It's not the best functioning gamepad. It was meant more for like Game Boy Advance emulators, but I used it for Halo Combat Evolved. Okay? It was a little gamepad about the size of an NES controller. Okay? But how to put it? Is the buttons were bigger. They were much bigger, and it came with four of them. So it was probably closer to a Super Nintendo controller. It came only with a D-pad, the four, one, two, three, and four buttons, and then trigger buttons. Now, playing Halo, you're going to want something that's got two joysticks, directional buttons, the four regular buttons, and two sets of trigger buttons, right?
Usually.
Well, I played the entirety of Halo Combat Evolved without a weapon swap button.
Oh dear. That's like
Yeah,
hidden hard mode.
yeah, without a weapon swap button or a um, what's the other one? What's the other one I missed? A grenade button.
No nades.
No grenades. So it was strictly if I wanted to switch weapons, I had to go into my gamepad settings, change one of the buttons to a weapon swap, get out of there, and then swap my weapons, go back in and change it to the regular jump button. At least that's what my 12-year-old little mind equated it out to. So,
Yeah, you may have overcomplicated it.
oh yeah, I was 12 years old at the time. It was definitely overcomplicated. Way back when I think on it, I really honestly did not need the jump. I put the jump button as the left trigger button for some reason. I could have just thrown the grenade swap or the weapon swap on like the the Y button or the triangle button if you play PlayStation, and then had to jump the the rest,
Yep.
and then had like my grenade throw as that left trigger, and then the movement. But like I had to for the movement I had to. Oh god, it was bad. Oh, now I remember. Now it's all flooding back. Okay,
And this is your best memory.
it's my most difficult memory. Okay, I think I should probably categorize this as weird.
Okay, then we'll start with the weirdest memories.
Yeah, I
So,
should probably categorize this as weird. Okay, now it's coming back. Now I remember. Oh my god. Uh, Move forward, move back, strafe, strafe, look up, look down, look right, look left. Or right, look left. Okay? I had 8 buttons to work with. I essentially just used these 4 buttons here as like the joystick to move and strafe, and these 4 buttons here to look up and look down. This was fire. This this was jump and weapon switch because I had to keep going into the menu. I was playing on an Acer laptop with only like 1 GB RAM.
Ouch.
Yeah, so it barely ran Halo 2, or not Halo 2, Halo Combat Evolved, and it had like, oh shit, 250 GB storage. It was literally just for the only use you could get out of it was out of that laptop, and the gamepad essentially was just browsing the internet and playing Nintendo Entertainment System games.
Fair enough. Let's see. My weirdest memory with a gamepad. Okay, you have to understand that my first console ever was a PlayStation 2. Uh, and growing up, it's like I moved over to Vermont when I was way little, moved back and forth repeatedly.
Yeah.
But first I moved to Vermont when I was way little, and we had these neighbors down the road who had an Xbox, the original.
Hmm.
And like, the moment, like, keep in mind that my hands are used to the DualShock setup.
Yeah.
So sticks down here, bumpers were for shooting, down here was for secondary stuff. X circle square triangle and directional pad. The
Yeah.
first moment I picked up the Xbox controller, I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Same here. Same here. It's understandable. Like they throw that
It's
white
like,
and black button at you, and you're like, "What the shit?"
yeah, so what the hell are you supposed to be pushing there? And it's like the sticks were canted, so it's like I was trying to hold it like this.
No. Basically, you're supposed to just rest your finger on the joystick like you would the D-pad playing PS1.
This is like young me, okay? So it's
Uh,
like
so I don't want to hear
literally.
shit about overcomplicating things.
I mean, and then every time it said the X button, my thumb went for the A button.
I get that.
And it was like the big old beefy large controller back in the day, so I'm holding it like this.
Yeah, the big old thing that had
This is
the.
an exaggeration.
Oh no, yeah, it's not a bad exaggeration. You had to hold it out here. It was much like holding the fucking the Wii U controller.
Big old chunk. And every time the vibration motors went off, my little 10-year-old arms just went, yeah, 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 yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So playing Halo was a bust.
Was that your first exposition to the original Xbox?
Pardon?
Was that your first exposition to the original Xbox?
Oh, yeah.
Mine was actually Fatal Frame.
Oh,
It was it was not Halo. It was his too. Mine was actually Fatal Frame 2. That's the only survival horror game that I can play that will actually make me shit my pants halfway through the game. Or like an
okay.
hour or two into playing the game. Okay? I just don't like little kid ghosts. They fuck with me.
And I do remember one time, this was in an arcade, so it doesn't technically count as a gamepad, but I'll just go with it. Has anyone in the audience ever heard of a shooter, an arcade shooter called Carnival?
No.
Okay, for the longest time, swear to God, that game was following me. Okay, so
Following you?
I encountered it once in a movie theater arcade. See, in like its original format, original cabinet, everything. I lost horribly, and for a while it didn't show up. I kept going back to the theater; it wasn't there. Then I see it there again, sat in the corner, and I'm
Sorry, dude,
like,
I pulled stupid. I forgot to plug my mic in. I'm here leaning.
anyway. So while he sets that up, so
We're
it
good.
disappeared. would show up again, and there was something screwed up about the trigger. It was like the timing was just the clock on this machine for the timing of the trigger pull on the gun was ridiculously off. I don't know if it was early or if it was late, but it just didn't shoot when I wanted it to. Then for a while, like it left the movie theater. I'm like, good. I don't have to deal with that again. So I went to this other place, this essentially arcade called Grand Slam, because there's also a sports area. And lo and behold, an upgraded version of the Carnival cabinet was there. And it was no longer in the movie theater. That one had been replaced by House of the Dead.
I love House of the Dead. That is such a great little arcade shooter. House of the Dead. Oh my
Anyways,
god. Sorry.
and this was all like in Ohio. And then I moved to Vermont, and I think, okay, I never have to see that creepy ass game again because I had very low tolerances for horror as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's like one day we go into GamePad, and guess what's sitting in the used Wii game section?
Carnival. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
actually, do you want a little bit of an update as to why that game followed you?
Why?
Well, the movie theater sold that arcade game off, or got it fixed up and sold it off, right? To that Grand
Yeah.
Slam company.
Okay.
Right around the time you were in Ohio. When you thought you didn't have to deal with it anymore, they had sold it off and bought House of the Dead. Grand Slam fixed it up and put it in their arcade area. So
It looked like it was a new release from the factory, honestly.
fixed up, touched up, all that.
Well, I mean, it's like it wasn't the original cabinet, the original screen, or anything. It was like,
Oh, okay. Never mind. I lied. At some point in time that they did. They did do that though.
uh, then you have, and that was like one of the, we'll call that a worst experience with the gamepads because of that timing on that trigger remained consistent into the Wii version.
Hmm.
So I could never tell where the hell my bullets were going.
It was much like playing Time Crisis, like one of the
Exactly.
old factory Time Crisis games. My God. Like when you stepped on the little
Pedal.
brake pedal, yeah, the little pedal, it never went into cover on time, so you ended up like feeding $50 worth of coins into this thing trying to beat
Get
the
through the
game.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, light guns do count. Rate LED, infrared light guns or anything of the sort does count as a gamepad.
I never really had much experience with playing with the infrared light gun except for like playing around with Duck Hunt.
Well, that was less infrared and more color sensitive.
You get my point.
But yeah, it does count. And yeah, what's a shame is a lot of the Nintendo zappers are kind of breaking down now.
Yeah, that was such good tech.
It was rudimentary and it was as simple as you could possibly get. But for a gun controller at the time, it's awesome, and they lasted a long time. Unfortunately, the only options, the only safe options now, I should say, are third-party ones.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. A real working Nintendo zapper that'd fetch you a good penny.
Oh, yep, and that actually ties into Kungi Mueller's comment question: how valuable would gamepads be in the 2020s? Well, are we talking modern or traditional? Because well, it does seem like the price for gamepads is going up to the point where they're like just as, if not more expensive than a game.
Let's answer both questions.
Okay, for traditional gamepads, honestly, and this is going to sound weird, I don't think so because a lot of them do still work. They're easy to fix, and the market is just flooded with them because there's so many. not that rare, which means they're not in terribly high demand. It's just easy to go on eBay, pick one up.
Right. However, you're right in the sense that gamepads being put out nowadays are going to be more valuable due to what all goes into a modern gamepad.
Oh yeah, if it's not a touchscreen interface or motion controls, it's a heavier vibration motor. Uh, which, by the way, if you guys have never seen a vibration motor, this is what one looks like. It sends a little signal along this red wire, and what's essentially in here is a little detector to see how many volts or milliamp. I can't remember what it is. Maybe ohms. Yeah, my brain is fried from the heat today, but it detects how much electricity is flowing through that
Yeah,
motor.
it's totally the heat.
Okay, so maybe I'm just naturally stupid. Anyway,
I'm picking on you, dude.
what that does is it spins this little axis here, and this weight creates the vibration effect. This is from a DualShock 2. This, I believe, was the left motor. Yeah, it's the left motor, because the right one had more weights on it.
Yep, yep.
So
So
let's go into what's your worst gamepad memory?
let's see here. Give me just a moment. I actually have. Okay, no, you know what? GameStop tried to put out a gamepad for the PS3. Okay,
Yeah.
Orion actually had one. The PS3 gamepad that was wired, that where the back trigger sat all the way down here. It was the crap one. You gave it to the second player because the first player got the wireless one. You wouldn't remember. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, it was see-through. You could see all the fucking all the boards and whatnot. But like I was just trying to explain to him, the L2 R2 trigger buttons sat way down here, and L1 and R1 were just lit. They were like a quarter, no, an eighth of an inch smaller than the pardon, the regular PS3 L1 R1 trigger buttons, right?
Yeah.
Well, for somebody, if I had a controller around, 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay, while he's doing that, I would just like to say, you guys keep seeing this is a Nyko Airflow. I am working on a review of this. I'm writing it out. I'm gathering footage for gameplay. It has a fan in it.
Okay,
That's why I'm holding it to my neck.
okay. So for somebody who does not hold their controllers like so, I hold it like this. Having those back trigger buttons all the way down here caused a wicked problem. And not to mention, it wasn't just a short little push in, pull the trigger. No, you pushed in.
It wasn't even analog.
It was it was plug and play. Okay? It was wired.
Ooh, so there was no analog detector in the triggers. Dang. And that's a giant leap too from down here to up here.
Right. Right. So you're playing it like this, and when you pull the back triggers, you got to pull them like that and make sure they're pressed in all the way till you hear the click.
Gotta squeeze that trigger.
Yeah, you really got to squeeze the motherfucker. And then like you got these tiny ass trigger buttons holding right about here that you got to feel around for and shit. Oh my god, I can't tell you how many times I actually died playing Call of Duty multiplayer, or even Destiny multiplayer for that matter, because it was just poorly constructed. It was almost Nostromo level.
The N45, he means, not the N52. The N52 is a
Yeah,
nice keypad.
yeah, the N45. It didn't have the only redeeming factor it had was that it didn't have the alien bar, and it was actually kind of ergonomically
Ergonomic.
designed. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna leave the Nostromo alone. It may sleep in its bed of ashes.
We've beat that thing into the ground. Actually, we'll use that as a rating for gamepads from now on. If
A
it's Nostromo,
measuring stick.
yeah, there's Nostromo, and then there's N45, and then we'll just give it to like what's old blue?
Old Blue is a Sabrent 12 button gamepad.
We got N45 to Sabrent. How's that sound?
That sounds pretty good. Sabrent is more or less my old reliable, though. I think he sits somewhere in the middle. Also, Kanye Miller, does that fix my audio?
Yeah, you are really
Anyway,
quiet.
let me just. How's that?
A little better, it'll work. You might want. Is there if there's any way to turn up the sensitivity?
Oh, you know what? Let me go into Audacity. Because Audacity allows me to change settings on my computer for my audio. Should have done that. Anyway, so because the timing has more to do with the game than the controller, I can't count Carnival as my worst gamepad experience. I
No.
have so my worst gamepad experience. Uh, hmm. I don't have many experiences with bad gamepads, except maybe when I was way little, like drastically little.
Mhm.
When the baby, like I went to a babysitter who had who took care of a few older kids, and there was a Sega Genesis in the basement.
Okay.
Uh, and I don't know if you ever held a Sega controller before, but it's like they were trying to go for something ergonomic, but then realized that the hand is not naturally supposed to hold a sideways banana.
Now that I think on it, I never actually. Oh my god, I never made that comparison.
That was my worst experience, and I had to figure that out because I didn't at that time I didn't really have a game system, so I had to figure out Sonic the Hedgehog on the fly, which wasn't difficult for a little tiny me. It was just arrows. The same one button does the same thing.
Yeah.
But they also had Altered Beast, and now that got confusing for little tiny me.
Vector Man.
Arrow Flash. Anyway, so that was my worst experience. Let's talk real quick though. I think about uh before we get into what our best experiences are with gamepads. I think now would be a good time to do a few honorable mentions for all three categories. So,
Okay.
honorable mention for your weirdest gamepad experience.
Honorable mention for my weirdest gamepad. The Wii's little controller attachment for the below controller. The Wii's
Oh,
controller attachment, not the
the classic controller.
yeah, the classic controller. It sat in the hand funny for me,
I could see that.
and the trigger buttons being side by side kind of fucked with me, being a PlayStation controller fanatic. Yeah. Otherwise, that's about it.
Hmm.
Nomination for the worst?
Uh, Nomination for the worst. I would have to say. Now, like I said, I'm not touching the Nostromo.
We know that.
I would have to give. So I'd have to say the worst gamepad that I've ever had. So my nomination for the worst would have to be some of the earlier wireless controllers with the radio.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get you. Okay, I completely forgot about that. Game, what was that? This company also put out a whole bunch of, oh, Game Gear had a wireless controller for the PS2. It took four AA batteries, or sorry, four AAA batteries, and it was a small controller, so like the Nostromo, you were knocking thumbs, and the battery pack on the back was fucking so
Huge.
obtrusive. Yeah, it was for a small ass controller that's set maybe that far apart. It was fucking huge. You might as well have just held it like this.
Now, honestly, Nintendo I think did a better job with their Wavebird controller.
I've never heard of that.
It's for the GameCube. It was actually probably one of the better wireless controllers at the time
Yeah.
because firstly, it didn't have the long ass antenna sticking out the top like a lot of. I mean, and this goes all the way back to Atari with these long ass antenna.
Well, how else were they supposed to set up input controls?
Yeah, and so obviously, it's like if anything got in the way of that antenna at the time, nothing. You would lose control.
Oh yeah, yeah. It made it a pain in the ass trying to play adventure. The little square
So
that you moved around picked up tools. Yeah, and then certain things would just wreck your life. Like they had the outline of the beasts,
yep.
that could just walk through walls. It's like you had a hard enough time trying to get away from them without somebody stepping in front of you playing that.
Oh, and God forbid your battery died because that would
Oh
happen
god.
way too in the day because they weren't alkaline at the time. So they those batteries just ate themselves up. So that's my nomination for worst.
Ooh. Okay, my nomination for worst. Or sorry, honorable mention. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Hmm, Pad. We had this little USB N64 knockoff. It was
Was it
corded,
RetroLink?
yes. It was RetroLink. I don't know. Usually RetroLink doesn't put out a bad product. But this one in particular, as soon as we got it out the package, the joystick didn't work properly.
That doesn't sound
Like the
good.
joystick was loose. I was wondering if it was like damaged in transit or something, or damaged on the shelf.
That could be it, or because RetroLink is a third party, their label isn't as closely protected as like a big name brand. So it
Right.
could be it was a knockoff.
True, we might have got a knockoff, but all the other buttons worked fine except for the joystick. And usually you can play like even with a regular N64, you could play with a loose joystick. That's not a problem. It's just when you're playing emulated N64 games, not going to name any sites or any emulations. You can find that shit if you want to. Um, when you're playing emulated N64 games and the joystick's loose, it doesn't want to work properly. If you let it go to one side for too long, your character Link starts moving like left or right by itself.
Yep, I heard that, and it's like, dang, there was actually a lot to pick from for bad controllers back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, there was. It's
Okay, so one more thing before we move on to the best experiences we've had with gamepads. Kung Inur asks if you could change one thing about gamepads, then what would it be and why?
X input.
Yep, I would just get rid of X input entirely.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have heard us talk about this over and over, but for like new viewers or whatever, the uh, the risk of hammering this point home is that you only have a particular controller setup. Direct input allows you to map your own controls. I think you're getting cut off audio wise because of the background noise on your end.
Shit, there's not much I can do about that. I can, here. How's that?
little better. We'll see.
I got rid of my mic. It's really sensitive.
Part of it. Anyway, so rectangle essentially allows you to map your own controls, and I'm going to turn the volume down on that so you can hear yourself think. And because you can map your own controls, it gives the player more control over the game.
Right, it'd essentially be like taking a keypad and just throwing it on for like an RPG.
Exactly. Speaking of keypads, I do.
I still have yet to finish editing my next video. I don't know how I want to do that. Anyway.
Check, check, 1, 2. What is going on with my mic volume here? Let me just.
Oh no, you've been quiet and cutting in and out. So anytime you cut out, it switches to me.
Testing. Testing 1, 2. Give me just a second. Let me try something. Is that better?
It'll not by much.
What the hell is going on? Okay, so let me switch real quick to
You got quieter, if anything.
son of a
Bitch.
Okay, does that fix anything?
Christ. Yeah. Ow.
Okay, so default is the magic button. Okay.
Fuck me. I was not expecting that. Ah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all you headphone users out there too. Back off the mic a minute. Is that better? Is that better?
Go. I turned the volume down on my headphones, dude. You're fine. Fucking A.
Okay. So, best experiences with gamepads. Okay.
My reliable orange one, the one that you guys have seen multiple times that I just so happen to not have on me. It's X input, yes, but most games run off of X input. So I know I can just throw that in and be okay.
Oh, well, that's a good start. For me, it's a toss-up. Because one, and this may get me labeled as a kiss ass to a corporation, but I just love pad. Just because, like, now that I know how to friggin' hold it,
Yeah.
it's got great analog triggers. When you throw the thumb pads on, it's even more comfortable, although it does have tournament pads on the top. It's got nice, tiny circle, square, triangle buttons, so that switching between them is easy. Macros that you can map, and also shortcut buttons.
Oh, that's the only thing I'm missing is macro controls.
And then my other top choice would have to be Old Blue here.
Old Blue.
Old Blue is a Sabrent gamepad. I believe it's the only one Sabrent has ever made. There are drivers for it, and there are vibration engines in it, which is contrary to what I say in my review of it, because I received this one secondhand saying that it did not vibrate.
Oh, well, at least you're making the addendum now.
Okay, so it's saying the audio is laggy, and I swear to God, what is that noise? Oh, you know what? Did that help?
I suppose.
I've had this running, and it has a noisy motor. Anyway, So what Old Blue here is just my standard. It's what I measure most games against. I may have to replace him soon, unfortunately. I'll put him in a frame or something. But as you can see, 6 face buttons, 2 bumpers, 2 trigger-ish buttons, directional buttons instead of a pad, so it is quite possible to push all 4 down at once, which is a bit of a qualm of mine. Nice clicky analog sticks. It is kind of cramped, but I've never had any issue with my thumbs bumping against each other. And this is probably my favorite gamepad, the best gamepad I've ever used, because whenever I need to test a new game, I can always just dust off Old Blue if it's got direct input controls, and just plug them in and have at it.
Okay, so this asshole, the last asshole that owned this controller, super glued his fucking thumb pads on there. They're only supposed to be covers.
Some people take the mod thing a little too seriously.
Yeah, he needs his ass busted.
That's how you ruin a stick.
Right. It's not supposed to come in contact with super glue. That ruins the what would you call that? The polymer?
Yes, it's very much a polymer.
Yeah, that ruins the polymer on the fucking joystick. Not to mention, super glue's a bitch to get off. I'm fucking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Most thumb pads actually do stay on pretty well on their own, especially really good ones. If you have to super glue them on because they refuse to stay on, then you, my friend, were gypped.
Hi, I am on Sunday stream.
Anywho, let me wrap this up and put it away.
Yeah, no, that's bullshit. These things would have stayed on perfectly fine without the super glue. I want to smack whoever had this Xbox controller last. Because I know it wasn't anybody I generally hang out with, because they're staying on just fine. Sorry. Okay, for all the new viewers out there, I have a qualm with people who sit there and just ruin controllers and keyboards and whatnot.
Yep, there are just certain things that you don't do, and mostly they're avoidable through common sense.
Mm-hmm. Because eventually you're going to want to take those joypad or these the thumb pads off of your joysticks, you know? If you super glue them on there, you're going to end up peeling the whole fucking polymer off. Sorry.
Yep, and like here, as an example, I have gel pads, which provide a bit of a cushion. So if the rubberized polymer on the outside of that corrodes, then gel is going to leak all over my sticks, down into the potentiometers that the sticks are attached to, and just across the board in the circuit inside here.
Yeah, so there ain't no sense in fucking putting super glue on there.
So let's turn into a little bit of a PSA about gamepad maintenance.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drag it in that direction. I was just kind of fiddling with that controller I showed you guys, and was picking at the game pads or the thumb pads, and they were stuck, and I knew they shouldn't be stuck. God damn it, people! Grow some common sense.
Now, the biggest issue I find with gamepad maintenance is if you have a younger sibling that is younger by more than 5 years.
They cover your shit in Cheetos.
Because they don't think about, it's like, crap all over my hands. This is not going to make a pleasant sensation when I hold this controller again.
No, so I at least grab a napkin and wipe my hands off. Or get lazy and wipe them on my jeans. I won't lie. But they're jeans. They're washable. You can't really wash your controller.
Nope. I mean, you can try to clean it off with like a little alcohol solvent, but
You're better off just wiping your hands on your pants and keep going to town.
is my audio laggy?
Not really. I mean, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But generally, I have no problems holding conversation. The lull in
Okay.
conversation is when your audio starts lagging out. And
Okie doke.
every now and again, you get that Asian movie look to you where your mouth moves and then you speak.
Be something that's screwing with my connection. It's a clear day. I wonder what's. Anyway, so another little thing about controller maintenance. Hands when you hold them. Don't glue nothing to it. If you want to customize the appearance of your controller, take apart the shell and I do mean carefully remove the internals before you do any kind of painting.
I recommend getting what was that? A static wristband. You clip it to something metal, you throw it around your wrist, it removes all static electricity so you don't fry your boards.
Yep, and of course, like if it's unplugged, and again, just a controller, so it's a very simple circuit. There's nothing major that could damage. It's not as big an issue, but if you are dealing with something that you're very nervous about your controllers, or this controller means a lot to you, then yes, an anti-static wristband would definitely be recommended.
Yes. Now, other tips on customizing your gamepads. If you're going to paint them, I recommend airbrush paint and the Sharpie paint markers with a fine tip.
Those
It'll
are nice.
dry quickly, and you'll not get anything in the inside of your shell. If you paint with acrylics, that's a bad idea. It's a thick base paint.
Very true. Of course, you can airbrush with acrylic paint, but I recommend if you do, or if you are dead set on using acrylic paint because they do have some vibrant colors, thin it first. Add a little bit of thinner, about to 1 part paint, so that it's about the same consistency as the thinner.
Yeah.
And make sure, and I cannot stress this enough, even because this happens a lot with model building, clean out your airbrush nozzle with thinner before you use it again.
Oh, definitely. I just thought I thought I'd put that out there. Customization and maintenance. Also, take it once every couple months to take it apart and take a can of what's that? PB Blaster to it.
Canned air.
Yeah, canned air, and knock out all the dust. Or Cheeto crumbs if you have younger siblings.
Yep, I got my younger brother an Afterglow for the PS3.
That's a good controller.
Somehow, he had managed to get crumbs inside this airtight controller.
What? How do you manage? Oh my God! How do you
I don't know. I
manage
ain't even mad though. That's impressive.
that? Right. I couldn't be mad. Yeah,
But yeah, it's
no.
like I'm sitting there going, it's like, well, no wonder it's breaking down. There's about 3 weeks of lunch worth in here.
2 years of lunch if you're a mouse. Anyway. Yeah.
So
Run some PB Blaster through it, some canned air through it, and knock all the dust out. Your best bet would be to do the same with your laptop every now and again too. Just
yeah, obviously with the laptop. I was just gonna say, when you're taking apart your controller, a magnetic dish is a big asset. If not, just get a little custard dish to put all the screws in.
oh yeah, I have those little fuck, the quarter machine toy cases. What are those called? Like gashapons or something
The
like that?
capsules?
Yeah, the capsules. I use the capsules for my screws. I have like 5 of them, and I sort them out by size.
That's the best way to go about it. Now, when you're going with a screwdriver, a magnetic one won't hurt what's inside your controller.
Mm-mm. It's not a powerful enough magnet.
It's great if you have one of those controllers where the board is fixed to the inside of one and half of the shell. So if you drop a screw under the board, you can just as easily stick your screwdriver in there and yank the screw out.
Yeah, I wish I had that when I was taking apart my DS.
Yep.
It doesn't help that the screws were also stripped.
I think most of the lag is coming from your end, dude.
Really? Well, I'm in a place that's heavy internet intensive, so.
Ah.
See, I'd completely spaced Sunday stream. Otherwise, I'd have been like home and set up by now. But I apologize.
Yeah, so we'll just have to make it part of a weekly schedule. We'll put it in. We'll schedule it in to a routine.
Yeah, no, I thought I was already on a routine, but I spaced it. I'm gonna have to get like a cork board and put my schedule up on that.
Yep. Okay, so since we've kind of covered the basics, let's talk about third-party controllers and customizing them. Firstly, if you're thinking of changing out the buttons, forget it, because all the third-party buttons that you can throw into your controller that overtop the actual rubber contacts are more or less designed for the standard version of whatever controller you're getting buttons for.
I didn't even know that buttons were customizable, so this is all on you.
Well, what that means is, like, if you go on Amazon or eBay or any of your typical...
Wait, are you talking about the rubber contacts that kind of give resistance to shoot the button back up?
It not only that, but it also cuts the circuit, and that's how it knows it's touched. But what I mean is, like, when you're changing out the caps, the button caps,
yeah,
the thing that sits on top, you can actually buy little sets, extra sets of buttons on Amazon and eBay, so that you can open up your controller, swap them out for a cool look. As a matter of fact, there's several Iron Man ones where for the Xbox controller, where the home button is the arc reactor.
Okay, that's fairly cool.
Yep, with the right shell, it would look perfect.
Hold on, what the fuck is she wearing?
Anywho.
Sorry, my buddy's watching anime in the background, and we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, that might be what's screwing with the audio.
It's possible. It's highly possible. But it was a fan service moment.
Anywho, so button caps for your controller. It won't work on a third party. Design the shell from the ground up. So that's something you're going to have to just accept. However, if you have a third-party controller, obviously there are ways you can customize it. Paint is one that we've already mentioned. It's difficult, just tedious to do. Just be careful with what's in the controller. Be very careful, especially with the vibration motors, if there are any, because they're not actually fixed to anything solid. They're resting on a mount inside the handle here with wires going up into the main circuit. So when you open this up, the first thing you have to be conscious of is, where are the motors? Are they on this end of the shell or that end of the shell? Coming away from the opposite side of the shell that the circuit is sitting in. Quickly, those aren't soldered in very securely. That's why you'll notice a lot of the first things that go wrong when a controller gets old is it loses vibration.
Which isn't honestly that bad, to be honest.
No, obviously it's not gonna be the end of the world if you lose vibration, but it is part of an immersive experience. So if you're dead set on it, I do believe if you're soldering mindset, I do believe that there are some companies out there that produce third-party motors that are much more powerful.
Oh, yes, I want some. Oh, never mind. I was going to say something sarcastic, but I just don't want to take it there. I feel like vibration itself, yeah, it's immersive, but it doesn't need to be all that powerful.
True. I think if you're going to put a more powerful motor in your controller anyway, then you have to adjust how much sensitivity there is so that it can adjust more accurately.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to like crack your fucking controller by putting like the V8 of vibration motors in your yeah, in your
Yep.
controller.
And the problem with that is, like, if you're going to adjust that as well, you might as well just invest in a new controller entirely, because at that point you have to shift everything else around it so that it balances out. And at that point, you've essentially made a new controller.
Mm-hmm. Just buy something with more power. It's the best way to go about it. Okay, so we completely just like glossed over our best gamepad experiences. Oh no, we didn't.
No, we didn't. We covered those. I think now would be a good time to go into worst and weirdest. Let's start with the best this time.
Okay, all right. Best plug and play experience. That's a toss up. See, I've only okay. I will be honest with you. I have only owned 2 plug and play games my whole life. I've only played 2 play games my whole life. The first one was the Atari plug and play that had, Centipede and Adventure and all
The
that.
flashback.
Yeah, the flashback. And the other one was shit. Was a Namco plug and play.
So it had like Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Galaxia, and Bosconian.
Bosconian, Pole Position, which coincidentally I also had Namco Museum for N64.
Namco Museum's a good game.
Yeah, a good collection of games. So I only owned 2 total plug and play games. So I can only say things about how the plug and play controller sat in my hand.
Well, you can also talk about how smooth the experience was for you, as far as not.
All right. So with the Namco Museum plug and play, I'm just going to call it the Namco Museum plug and play if that's okay.
Go ahead.
There's a little bit of lag between the controller and the game itself due to there being all kinds of just shit in there it had to, store games and run a controller at the same time. So there was just a wee little bit of lag due to the processing that it had to do to keep up with both controller input and running the programs. I mean, it wasn't enough to be annoying, but playing pole position when you're trying to turn and you end up hitting a wall due to it turning too late, because playing that kind of racing game, you really had to be on it. You had to memorize timing. Anyway, it was a good experience for me. Then again, it wasn't. It was a little annoying at times. I wouldn't call it bad due to that little bit of lag between the controller and what was going on the TV.
Yeah. So I would have to say my best plug and play experience. It's difficult because I've played a lot of great ones, a lot of bad ones, and a lot of weird ones. Probably my best experience, it's not my favorite, keep in mind, but it's my best experience with a plug and play console was plug and play TV paintball.
Okay, I lied. I had 3.
2.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I can tell you where I lived with that when I had it.
Oh, actually, while you go ahead and talk, I'm gonna bring Kenny in.
Okay, I lived up on West Nemasilla, two houses down from Cope's Pharmacy when I had that. Yeah, like right next door to that haircut place. So
Okay.
yeah, um, that's actually how I learned how to barrel roll in and out of cover.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, there's Jake. Hey, Kenny. We're just talking about plug and play systems.
All right. Plug and play, like TV game.
Yeah.
Okay, I can
Yeah.
dig the backdrop he's got going on.
Thank you. I have a Power Rangers plug and play. I'm actually looking for in my room at the moment. I brought in my Wii remotes.
Oh, so those are
special
like.
Wii remotes I have.
Oh, so that was that was gonna be your gamepad thing?
Oh no, I was gonna bring in a few. I had a PS2 controller and a Power Ranger plug and play around here somewhere. I'll just talk about it.
Yeah. So we were just talking about. Did you ever own the plug and play television paintball game?
No, I did not. I'll tell you what I've owned though. I've had a Power Ranger plug and play, Star Wars plug and play for Revenge of the Sith, and
Oh, Kenny, can you turn your mic volume up?
yes.
Okay, so while he's talking about that, so paintball,
That's
essentially, that's much better.
Essentially, what it was just a Wii Zapper, or not Wii Zapper, but a Nintendo Zapper in the form of a paintball with a program to shoot other paintballers in it. That was a tough-ass little plug-and-play game.
Oh yeah, and it's just like, and what's weird is like in my tiny little head, the paintballs were flying out of the barrel, even though the sensor was below the barrel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, right. Okay. What? In all logic.
Make that.
Makes sense in our tiny-ass little fucking childhood brains.
Yeah, but once I understood where the sensor was, I really enjoyed the game. I loved the whole, and that's how I kind of fell in love with shmups as a whole, because it started me on rail shooters, and then I discovered stuff like Space Invaders and whatnot.
Yeah.
I have a story for you. One Christmas,
All right.
one of my birthdays, I got this Avatar: The Last Airbender plug and play, and it had, I want to say 6 different games, maybe 4. Actually, no, it was 4 because each game was based in a nation. You had in the Water Nation, you had Katara's sledding. In the
Water Village?
The Water Village, yeah. In the Water Village, you had Katara sledding, and in another had Sokka doing something with his
Boomerang?
challenge. Yeah, Fire Nation, you had Zuko's template, which was kind of like a Bomberman setup, where you had to. Actually, no, it wasn't like Bomberman. It was you had these things set up, and you had to make the fire go through this specific pathway to get to the center. I don't know what game that's kind of like, but it's based off of a classic arcade game.
So it's pretty much. Sorry.
And then you had the main game, which was Aang's Adventure.
You had a comment?
Oh, I'll be right back. I'm being called for a second.
Okay, hurry back. So, actually, you know what I had a lot of different experiences with? SpongeBob plug and plays.
I avoided that because I didn't want to be playing with dude's nose.
Well, there was actually a couple. There was the one where he had the nose, and then there was one. It was essentially like game. It was just because there were no goals in mind. I've actually got it sitting over there. I'm not gonna grab it because I don't want to get up. But it was essentially SpongeBob's house with a little sticker of him and Gary inside the door, and then you used a bamboo stick. And there was one game that was essentially the equivalent of Wooly Willy, if you guys remember that toy.
No, I don't.
It was like this little cardboard backing with a blister pack on front, but you didn't open it. Instead, you took a little magnetic stylus and took the little iron shavings and positioned them all over Wooly's head.
Oh, it's much like those fuck me running. The little drawing pads with the iron filings in them.
Oh, we were talking about how the paintball game didn't make sense. Tone says she read Plato as a kid, and so a lot of things made sense at that age.
Shh.
So, anywho, that's alongside that, it had like a Wooly Willy game. It had like a mix and match game where essentially you had to come up. It was a Patrick game, a mix and match Patrick game where you just had to keep flipping it over until you got a costume that matched up, and then you would hit the button, and then hey, you won. And then
what about you guys ever played the Spider-Man TV game? That's a classic one.
Actually, in regards to the Fire Nation's little position, the fire thing, I feel like it'd be much like the hacking in BioShock.
Maybe.
The Spider-Man TV game, you said.
Yes.
Okay,
it was a
so
basic 2D side scroller. You basically swung around the city and fought bad guys.
I have not played that.
Okay. Now, while we're on the
What I
topic-
have.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
came to mind for the TV game, and it was, remember the VR headset TV games that they released? I know Power Rangers Time Force had one. It was like a headset TV game you plugged up and you would do certain movements with it.
Oh
Kenny,
god, that was like quote unquote VR.
Yep. Kenny, can you get your volume any louder?
Yeah, I can.
Like,
I can try to.
start as loud as you can get it, and then if it gets too intense, we'll lower it.
Okay.
Mic volume, not your speaker volume.
I'm trying to fix that. I don't know how to. On.
While he's doing that, some of the that was my best plug and play experience was definitely paintball. My worst plug and play experience was actually with the SpongeBob plug and play game that I mentioned earlier, because there was nothing to do. There was no sense of accomplishment when I did anything. Even the Krabby Patty memory game.
Yes.
My worst experience with plug and plays would probably have to be actually the Atari plug and play game.
Really, the flashback?
Yeah, the flashback. I don't think I owned exactly. Yeah, it was the flashback. It was just literally just an Atari controller, right?
Yeah.
A black Atari controller. The only reason it was the worst for me, I liked the games on it, okay? I really did. The games were fun as hell. My problem was with the controller. I felt like if I didn't have very much controller movement, and plus it was... Okay, I didn't have much movement, and the movement that I did have was really, really resistant. So, I wanted to break the joystick to get it to move, you know? Yeah, you've got it on point. Broke, motherfucker! No, I know. He was ad-libbing. Sorry. No, I wanted to break the goddamn joystick out of the little plug-and-play controller because it did not want to move.
I think that's one of the biggest reasons. Like, that's also why a lot of Atari fans liked that console, is because you didn't have to use the stock controller. You could literally plug in either an Atari, like an original Atari controller. The original Atari, you could plug in a Sega Genesis controller.
Well, had I known that, I think that would not have been my worst experience. But seriously, I wanted to snap that fucking controller.
Not enough range of movement for you?
Not enough. Not at all. See, the joystick only moved like this, like this, like that, like that. I wanted it to go like this, like this. You know, like you're playing fucking Flight Simulator.
Yeah, it's not an aerial control joystick, that's for sure.
That's what bugged me. As I wanted it to move, not just. Meh, meh,
Of course, at the time, it was like that particular controller was. Did it click at all when you moved it?
no.
Then it was a cheaper controller using contacts. That was probably part of the problem.
Yeah. No, I can guarantee I ruined the contacts on that plug and play controller.
Yep. For those of you who don't know, when you're using like an arcade stick controller, some of the best ones have micro switches in them. How do you tell if it has micro switches? Well, moving it. If it goes click, it's a micro switch.
If it doesn't go click, then you've got something with cheap ass contacts, and you're gonna end up breaking your fucking controller.
Yeah, because those contacts, because they're made of a flexible metal, go really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna eventually you're just gonna hold it up to your ear and shake it, rattling around in there.
Yeah.
Realize the contact broke off inside the controller.
As a matter of fact, I think that controller only lasted like 2 months before we ended up having to throw it away because of busted contacts. Because of me.
There's a ColecoVision. There's a ColecoVision flashback now
Really?
with the old
I did not know that.
keypad and knob controller.
Oh God. Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yep, I saw
Okay.
it at a music store for like $60.
I think I'm gonna pick up the NES plug and play. Make
Why?
that my best experience. Because it's a plug and play, and I don't feel like emulating because of various reasons. I'm gonna send you a message real quick
Okie doke.
because I have a bit of a question. It'll be over Facebook.
Sorry.
Okie doke.
Yo, I think you might enjoy this.
Anyways, so Kenny, did you figure out how to raise your mic volume?
Nope.
Okay, well, in the future, maybe look into like a phone headset or something,
hmm
or whatever you can. Are you on your laptop or your phone right now?
I'm on my iPad. My laptop's dead.
Well, when you can, try to invest in a couple of headsets, cheap ones. I'll send you some links later so that you can get some really nice cheap ones from Tier 1.
I think I have one. I have one for my laptop. I just don't have one for my iPad.
I'm just try to speak up as much as you can.
Okay.
Just say yes or no.
Well, I'm waiting on because there's a bit of a time gap between when you send me something and when I receive it.
Yeah,
But
no, I get you.
anyway,
That time gap's like 5 seconds. Anywho, all you gotta do is say yes or no when it pops up. Back to plug and plays.
so worst for me was definitely that little SpongeBob plug and play, not the one where you play with his nose, the pineapple shaped one with the joystick. I actually like the one where you played with his nose because I like the arcade games.
It felt really phallic to me, so I was good on that. I don't want to
A
be
lot of
playing.
these are just a penis. I mean, look at this.
It's a dick nose. The SpongeBob plug and play was a dick nose.
It was.
Let me get you off.
Trying to imitate someone from friggin' Slipknot there.
I love Slipknot so much.
Well, it was. It
So-
wasn't.
That was one. Sorry.
That nose. I can
That's
make so many
199.
jokes
The disc jock. The
I
disc
can
jockey. Actually, his
199.
yeah.
I can make so many jokes about that SpongeBob nose right now from on that plug and play. But this
Actually,
is a kid show.
199's had a little saying for a while. His little caption was always "finger wife with nose."
Why? I
'Cause-
don't answer that. I know why.
Because Slipknot. That's why. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
So
answer it clean.
weirdest gamepad or not gamepad plug and play experiences.
Oh, I was playing Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, right? You go in. I was playing
Wait,
as
for-
you know.
was this a-
Have you played it before?
Are you talking about the plug and play? Because we're on
Yes.
plug and plays right now.
Yes.
I have not.
Well, the plug it has different games on it. One of the ones that I was playing that had a weird glitch up in was in the Anakin Skywalker one, where you play as Anakin Skywalker on Lord Grievous's ship and you're fighting battle droids and all that. Anyways, I tried going in this direction because that's where I was going, but for some reason the control malfunctioned out of nowhere and just started having me go all over the place and glitched up. And it just I didn't do anything. It just started glitching up though. Like the pixel colors changed, and then the wouldn't go in the direction I wanted it to go. But that was
Looks like
a
you got some bad swag, brother.
Yeah, I think it's short circuited or something. I don't know.
Yeah. My weirdest plug and play experience is actually I love it, but it's the Jack's Pacific Mortal Kombat arcade port plug and play.
Hmm?
4 gamepad or 4 plug and plays.
So he's had that one too. Anywho, so the Mortal Kombat arcade port plug and play. Now, never had the opportunity to play the Mortal Kombat arcade game. So I have no clue the usual controller setup. You've got high-low punch, high-low kick, and block right there in the center. And
Actually,
that's
it's
alien
not
to
about-
my hands.
It's actually not that far off.
They released Mortal Kombat and plug and play for kids.
Mortal Kombat 2.
For kids. Jack specific.
So,
Hmm
That's hilarious.
I think they cut out the blood though.
That sucks. Not worth
Yeah,
my
they
time.
cut out all the blood, which was unfortunate because as a little 13-year-old, I liked gore a lot.
Mhm.
So anyway, playing this gamepad is so alien to me because not only like yes, it's accurate to the arcade game, but the buttons are all over the place. And when I pull off any kind of combo, keeping in mind that I'm actually bad at fighter games, the only way I can pull off that combo is if I slide my fingers between the buttons really quickly. But because these buttons are kind of chunky and far apart, that opportunity, and I end up essentially tripping my thumb over the edge of the buttons.
Oh, so you're a button masher.
Mm.
You don't memorize the combos. You mash the buttons.
Well, I do memorize the combos, but the only
I
way that
don't.
my thumb moves fast enough.
Oh, see, I have no problem with that. I don't have to run my finger across the buttons. I can just sit there and smack buttons.
I have very slow thumbs.
See you later, dude.
I believe it.
Not
I
me.
have slow thumbs too. Watch. This is how fast my thumb can go. Yeah.
And then JT's over here showing us up, moving so fast that his friggin' thumb goes blurry.
Oh wow.
I have experience with fighters. I hate them, but I have experience with them.
This is my thumb speed. Does that tell you how bad I am at combos?
Yep. Like the only time that I'm ever remotely good at, let me close this. The only time I'm ever remotely good at a fighter game is if I'm playing Dead or Alive 4 and I play Brad Wong.
Is he an OP
That's cheap.
character?
He's drunk.
Dead or Alive 5.
He's drunk.
Yeah.
Is he cheap? Is he an overpowered character?
If you play him right, you got to be drunk to play him because he's drunk.
I find that I like that when you move the stick, he is very fluid. Oh, but
No.
we're getting off track here.
Okay, there's actually pertaining to what you were talking about with Mortal Kombat. There's actually a place in Green, as a matter of fact, up in the plaza, up in the subway plaza.
Mhm.
By
Yeah.
the roundabout. It's called Back to the Arcade.
Mhm.
For 20 bucks, you've got all day arcade play.
Yes.
Ooh.
We're going
You
there
pay
when I
20
come to visit.
Yes, we are. You see, you go in, you pay 20 bucks, and then all the arcade games in there, you don't have to drop like 50 cents into play. You just
Okay, that's
start the
cool.
game.
The only issue I could find with that is like, arcade etiquette where when you want to go next, you put your little quarter right there on the corner of the screen.
Yeah,
You can't do that when the arcade game is free.
right, but there's honestly not a lot of people who go there anymore. Or who
True.
go there. They still make good enough money to stay in business.
A moment of silence for arcades
And there's
everywhere.
even
Oh no, I was trying to think of what I was gonna say next.
but
Well, let JT finish.
Okay.
where was I? They still make enough money to stay in business and even hold arcade tournaments every Wednesday, and Friday, I do believe.
What
Everybody,
games are typically on the tournament?
the fighters, Mortal Kombat, also a Mobile Suit Gundam-esque pilot game there.
Hold on a second, I gotta
Zeus?
look this up.
X-Zeus, I do believe.
Is it 3D or 2D?
It's 3D. You're actually piloting first person. Anyway,
Oh, then it must not be Zeus because Zeus is third person.
I can't remember specifically if it was first or third person. I'll be honest with you. I think
Cockpit and a big red globe.
no.
Okay, then it's
You
not
got
Zeus.
you got two joysticks, forward, turn, and all that.
Is it
And then
Crossfire?
fire right, fire left.
Is it
I'm not.
is it Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire?
I never said it was Mobile Suit Gundam. I said it was Mobile Suit Gundam-esque, meaning
Oh.
it's like it.
I think I've played this before at Sluggers and Putters.
Yeah, I
Okay.
wouldn't doubt it.
There
But
is a
Sluggers.
Japanese one called Cody Senshi
Hold on,
Gundam.
Kenny. Hold on.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I messed up.
No, you didn't mess up. It's all good, man. Sluggers and Putters actually sold most of their arcade games off to get new. Arcade
Yeah.
games ended up in Back to the Arcade.
Mecha.
Mechic, you might be right.
No, there was a mecha game that was at Sluggers and Putters, and there was a seat you would sit in, and you would select your mech, and it wasn't actually a terrain, as best I could describe it. It was more like a digital setup, like what art, like cartoons in the '90s wanted you to imagine virtual reality is like.
You're pretty much right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But there was actually 2 seats for crossplay.
Oh yeah, now it's coming back to me.
Yeah,
It
that
was a
ended
Sega
up in
game.
Back to the Arcade. Yeah, exactly. It ended up in Back to the Arcade, but the docket for most of their tournaments runs from the Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and the one shooter. I think that was Resident Evil Outbreak. I want to say. To all of their machines are arcade based or are tournament ready. So
Okay, well, we kind of went a far cry from plug and plays.
that's quite okay. Every now and again, it's nice to go off into a tangent. I was actually going to explain how the tournament worked, but we need to get out of that.
Yep. So why don't we go into the third topic that Tone, who is now officially a dojo master, manager of our Twitter, and has more or less elected herself the manager of the group, so she's trying to keep everyone organized.
Thank you, Tone.
Thank you, because I'm spacey.
Yep. So, anywho, so the topic she found on the Twitter was podcasts and why there are so many different kinds today.
Well, essentially, I feel like podcasts are just are just shortened versions of talk show radio.
Yeah. Also, people love hearing opinions, so why not listen to various podcasts on different topics?
Correction, Kenny. People love to shoot other people down for their opinions.
Oh, that is true. I love listening to opinions.
I do too. I love valid points.
I like to think that people like to listen to opinions.
I personally, I like to get on there and see if somebody can sway my mind in a different direction.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point too.
Yep. Now, the reason I think there are so many different kinds is like when you're talking about like, and this goes back to the whole talk show radio thing, is that on talk show radio, certain things are known to get ratings, certain things that are guaranteed to get people listening, and that's how radio stations get funding, is because with more people listening, they get more advertising space and whatnot. On the internet, you have the ability to tap into niche groups, because while they may be niche, they are still a large audience that you can tap into.
Yeah. Have you ever heard? I don't know if you've heard of this podcast, but the Nickelodeon Slimecast podcast. They're a podcast group that solely focuses on bringing back the '90s Nickelodeon and getting rid of the new stuff. Just an example of a niche group.
Now, I'm actually new to podcasting. I don't listen to podcasts, and this is the first. I would assume it's a podcast that I've participated in.
What is it called?
What we're doing right now.
Oh, this. Okay, yeah. Maybe I think this could count as a podcast, a YouTube podcast. Yeah.
Maybe. So I cannot put very much input on that, but I will try my damnedest.
Yep. Okay. I'm sorry. I kind. And regarding your message over Facebook, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk later after the stream.
Okay, so actually I've had a little experience with podcasts. I've listened to Pod Taku back in the day, for those of you who remember that. It was from a bunch of anime. It was a bunch of anime YouTubers like J.R.R. Kata, from Glass Reflection, and Giga, people like him, who would just sit around and just shoot the breeze about, like they would have a vague topic to start with, and they would just go off on tangents. I didn't ever like listen to it wholeheartedly. I would always just kind of tune out and just have it as background noise when I did stuff.
I get that.
The other one that I was really into, which is still going today, if you go to tokutai.me, that's TOKUTI.me, Easy Rider, one of the members of the Generation 1 Reviewiverse, has a podcast called Ranger Recap, in which he does essentially live thoughts on Power Rangers episodes. And so he wants you to kind of watch along.
Hey, has my audio gotten any better?
I've heard of him.
Much better.
Okay, good. It was the anime.
All right. What is
Sorry,
it called
Tone.
again?
Sorry, everybody else who's viewing. That was my bad. I forgot to go home.
Elchiza, what'd you call the Toku one again?
Ranger Recap.
Thank you.
So those are my those are my two most prominent experiences. I do have experience with other podcasts. It was mostly just music-based stuff. JT, you were tapping real hard.
Packing down a cigarette.
Ah, was it particularly?
You can hear that through my microphone?
Yep.
What the shit?
Yeah, no wonder that the background noise was freaking screwing with everything.
That's ridiculous.
So, casts, everyone has their own format, obviously, because now I hate to say it, I really hate to say it, but radio is kind of on its way out. Most
Yeah.
AM
Yeah.
radio is no longer a thing.
Really?
FM is on its way out. Yeah.
Because I listen
Well,
to Coast to Coast
most-
AM late at nights, and that's been running since the 80s.
That's
It's,
the
uh,
last
Well,
AM
tell me,
station.
It's a late night radio talk show about the ghosts, aliens, and the paranormal.
Yeah, that's probably the last AM station. You see, most everyone else has switched to FM.
And then even
Okay.
then, they're getting rid of FM for XM satellite radio.
That is
Nice, but it's not the same as classic radio.
true. And
No.
and internet radio also.
Now, actually, my favorite radio station, 88.9, The Alternation, actually has to ask and beg for donations to keep their radio station open and alive. And that's the only thing that I can listen to to two different My Chemical Romance songs in the same like 2-hour span.
Yeah,
They
I
play
listen.
that kind of music.
I listen to FM 99, which is a local rock station. They have different time slots where they do things like every week mornings they do a thing called Rumble in the Morning, where you have Rick Rumble and a few other people who run the show do like they talk about news, they do comedy sketches, just a lot of like how a typical morning show goes, right? On rock stations.
Kind of like Prairie Home Companion, but rock and roll based.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what Prairie Home Companion is.
6 a.m. with Nikki Sixx from
Yep, The Sixth Sense with Nikki Sixx on it.
Thank you. Wait,
You have that
So-
also?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who. I know The Sixth Sense. We get it on FM 99 also.
You are really close to me.
Yeah, I live in Virginia.
Oh. Ohio.
Right, yeah, well, it's a nationwide. It's a nationwide.
Oh.
Sixth Sense
Oh,
runs on different radio stations around the U.S.
Now, you see, I get only 5 stations on that beast behind me. And that's,
I thought you'd get more.
you would think, but because I live in a mountainous region, radio signals are often blocked.
Oh, that's true. I was at.
So I
got a story for you. I was.
hold on to it until we go into
Okay,
open.
sorry.
Hold on to it until we go into open discussion.
Okay.
This is my prediction. Full radio stations, the ones that can afford to just make the switch, are going to switch over to XM radio. The smaller ones that still want to produce content for people to listen to are probably going to switch over to a podcast format.
Probably.
88.9. Or in 88.9's case, they run off of iHeartRadio. So
iHeartRadio. I think podcasts could run off of iHeartRadio, couldn't it?
it's possible.
There is a way.
It's
Maybe they could be
possible.
saved.
I'm hoping, because like I love 88.9. They play good stuff.
I
Anyway,
think
Yeah.
those of us sitting here are the last generation that would prefer a nice radio show over a podcast.
yeah.
Mhm. Well, I get
As
my
unfortunate
daily
as it
dose-
is.
I get my daily dose of nice radio shows every week morning on FM 99.
Oh yeah. Or Rover's Morning Glory.
That sounds cool.
It's funny, okay?
That sounds
Sorry.
like it's a funny morning show.
It's funny as hell.
Do they
It's-
do? Well, the thing is, the morning show I listen to, they do things like stupid news, idiots on the internet.
Yeah. That sounds about like Rover's Morning Glory, but they're about as raunchy as they can get without crossing over to FCC illegal shit.
Twitter wars.
Mm-hmm.
I know, Facebook wars, Twitter roasts, all that stuff.
Back to podcasts. So, and the reason why there are so many, the underlying reason why there are so many varying podcasts, I feel personally are, well, there's a topic for everything out in the world. There's plenty enough shit to talk about. There's plenty enough to entertain, and there's always a demographic that will look into every single topic in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly,
listen-
which is why it's
Sorry.
more diverse than, say, radio, where it has to appeal to a broad group of people.
Yes.
So it has to keep its topics very overarching.
Broad and short.
So, okay, there's definitely a place for podcasts. There's no one's denying that, right?
No,
No,
we're not denying.
not at all. It's just I personally would rather sit down and listen to a radio show and get a lot of broad topics that I can look into later on versus one pod and then listen to a podcast on that topic.
Right. Podcasts
Can't
are great.
see a thing in the video, can't hear a sound on the radio, in stereo in the static age. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Video killed the radio star.
Oh
I
my
remember
gosh.
that song.
Ah. Anyway,
That was a
so
great song.
no one's denying that there's a place for podcasts, and podcasts are going to get huge as time goes on because everyone likes a little something to listen to without having to watch a video. Nothing but nothing is going to replace a good old FM signal.
Mhm.
I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. Nothing is going to defeat a good old FM signal. And
What's
kids are going to be
FM?
like, "What's FM? What's FM?" And then I might cry a tear. I might
Oh,
actually
I'd
cry a tear. A manly tear, just a big old one single manly tear down the side of my face.
Like dramatic, sad music plays in the background, like the last of the Mohicans.
That song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Right. Even though it totally looks like you're twerking a nipple.
Okay, well, I think now is a good spot to get into open discussion, since we keep wanting to drift off.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, okay, let's talk about like radios. Like, what kind of radio do you typically turn on to listen to your favorite station? Like, obviously, I've got this going on.
Car radio.
AM, FM, basic AM, FM.
No, I mean, like, what kind of like your brand? What kind of radio do you own?
Shit,
know.
I don't know. It came stock in my car.
So you like, Kenny, do you have like a stereo at home that you listen to the late night AM show on?
I
Car.
used to. It broke. It broke. Now I just
Ah.
use my iPad and pull up basic radio app. Class. It just has radio signal.
I don't own a radio. It's depressing because I miss owning a radio, but I don't own one. Right, okay. You know, I feel like I should just go out and get one of those little dollar pocket radios and have a blast with that.
It's mono, but yeah, it works.
Right. I miss having okay, I had multiple radios, one ranging from like the boombox that I'd sit in my room and just blast Green Day to when I was in my little teen angsty phase. Then I had like X amount of little pocket radios because they came with headphones and I could ignore the world and just listen to cheap talk show radio.
Sony has played a big part in my radio life.
For good or for
Well,
worse?
Sony makes good for better. Sony makes a good radio.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's like to start, we had the big old Sony stereo with like the CD on the top and the cassette player on the bottom.
What about the Walkman? I have a Walkman.
Man. Oh,
I have
dude,
a
you have a
Walkman
Walkman. You
somewhere.
get major hipster points.
Yes, I do. I just need to find it.
But after a while, because I like going through yard sales, it's one of my favorite things to do. I found a little Sony mono radio that had AM, FM, and a cassette player. And I blasted the hell out of that in my room back in the day. It had a handle that I would sit and I would just bring it around on my shoulder, trying to pretend it was like a little ghetto blaster. Because
I owned a ghetto blaster though.
And now I've got the Sony receiver right there.
Ooh.
And what
Sony
that
the
is
best
like,
to get
it's
it from.
for sound stuff. Yeah, definitely, dude. Now, the reason that the receiver is so expensive is because it's more than a radio. It's also got a bunch of inputs for video inputs like DVDs.
Ooh. It's like a movie surround sound type thing.
Yep. Then you can plug in like a CD player, a tape deck, whether that be like D8, 8-track or whatever, and then you can plug in a turntable as well.
What's a turntable?
And then a record player.
Ah, nice. So that
You don't know the term turntable?
I do now.
Look at JT. He's sitting there with his hand on his head.
I've heard the name. I just haven't used it in so long, so I forgot what it was. I haven't heard that name since I was 5.
Turntables, disc jockey.
Yes, I know. I haven't heard that name since I was 5. Wow.
Wow.
I don't even refer to them as records. I call them vinyls.
Yeah, vinyl.
Right.
I know what a vinyl is.
Yeah, well, vinyls go on turntables.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
as you can see, it also has like it has multiple channels for speakers.
Mhm.
This is all kind of Frankenstein together. I had to do a lot of mixing and matching. But
Yeah.
so definitely Sony was my best experience for radio back in the day. And to this day is still my best experience.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Mhm.
See,
I
I
have to
could never
agree.
tell quality of stereo because in all of my old man's cars, the engines were too loud, so we had to blast the stereo over top of his car engine.
Ouch. So it kind of blew out the speakers pretty quick, didn't it?
He went through so many speakers because he had he had an IROC Z28 Camaro and when it idled, the entire car shook. Not just like little shaking, but rattled side to side,
Like this?
shaking. No. It was like,
Nothing that fun.
okay. It might as well have been like drag strip engine
Ooh.
in a fucking Camaro. I'm like, Dad, ain't this a little bit of an extension?
Did you just quote
He said-
Transformers? You just quoted Transformers like unintentionally.
Unintentionally, yes.
I'm sorry, I'm the movie
It's an
quote guy.
extension of his manhood. I'm like,
Yeah,
Dad,
you
you're
wanna know
old. You need a minivan.
You know what? You want to know something ridiculous about cars?
What?
Okay, back in the 70s, it was a Mustang called the Mark II or the Mach 2.
Mhm.
Now they wanted to make they didn't put a new engine in it or anything. They wanted to make a Mustang with a longer nose, so they did. The thing is, though, is that meant that there was about that much space between the grill of the car and the front of the engine.
That can't be good.
That can't
It
be
was
good.
not good. This thing broke down way too easy. And don't get okay, I have to talk about this. The gas cap. There was no trunk in this car. The gas cap was in between the tail lights, right dead set in the middle at about crotch height. So when you're going to fill it up, it car a little too much.
It sounds like a car I'd own. Oh, Lord. I could see somebody painting like an anime booty right on the back of the car.
Kenny here's dying. Okay.
All right, time to fill her up.
You best use unleaded.
I wonder what
No,
the
you're
car's
giving her the
name
lead
is.
anyway. Oh my god. Chaz, you're making me take it to that place.
I wonder what the
Okay.
car's name is.
Anywho. Oh, we kind of went into cars. This is an area I'm good at. Okay.
This is an
Let's
area
stay
I'm
in
not
cars
good
then.
at. Well, I'm okay with cars. I'm okay with cars. Most of
Now, go ahead.
the most experience I have with cars would be the car shows at Winks.
I miss those.
Intriguing.
Right? They had some beautiful cars. Now, the way also where I learned how to tell if a car was touched up with Bondo or not.
Mhm.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, probably not a lot of you, Bondo is pretty much a replacement, is pretty much a rust cover, okay? But it neutralizes, or it makes, how to put it, it demagnetizes a car, you know?
Mhm.
Normally on anything that doesn't have Bondo, you'd be able to throw like a magnet on there and it'd stick. But when you put Bondo on there, it doesn't, blah, 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 blah. The magnet will not stick. Now, my old man, he told me at one point in time that he avoids the color yellow on a car because yellow blends in the best with Bondo.
Really?
Yeah. So he avoids the color yellow, and if he really has to buy something classic that has a yellow coat of paint, he's going to throw a magnet on there to make sure he's not getting gypped.
Ooh.
Absolutely, because if there's too much Bondo touching up the car, then it can throw the weight off.
Yeah, that too.
Can I mention it?
That and Bondo devalues the car.
Ooh.
Yep.
Can I mention
Kenny,
a
you wanted to
car?
mention?
Yes, I
Sure.
wanted to mention a specific car that I'm actually. This is my dream investment. Anybody recognize it?
Is that the Toyota Trueno?
No, it's the 1976 Lotus Esprit.
Oh, so it is.
But you know what it's famous for?
I don't.
It was a car that turned into a submarine in James Bond, The Spy Who Loved Me, 007.
The spy
Okay,
who
that's a fair enough
shagged
reason.
me.
All-time favorite James Bond movie, and favorite James Bond car, favorite car of all time.
Hey, baby,
It
let's
is 1 million.
shag.
It is, last
Oh.
I checked, it is 1 million in cost.
Good luck with that.
Yeah,
Better off.
I think a lot of people would get that car for the same reason that they would want to get Back to the Future. The specific DeLorean.
DeLorean.
The nostalgia.
DeLorean.
Yep. My dream car is actually a Nissan S30Z.
Ooh, Nissan. Let me look that up.
It's a beautiful car. Its versions of it, I believe, have a twin turbo engine.
Nissan S what?
30Z.
See, I want something that's going to get me a lot of speeding tickets.
Oh, just paint it red.
Oh dang! That looks kind of like a modern version of the classic James Bond car.
What if I
I
told you that that car is a classic?
Is it a Bond car?
Oh no, it's not a Bond car. It's just a classic Nissan.
Ooh, but it kind of has that shape. You know what I mean? It has that shape of one of the original James Bond cars. It has that
Yep.
the frame shape.
Where are you knocking?
Hello?
Hello?
Can I come down?
Yeah, sure. I'm podcasting, so
Well, streaming.
I'm live streaming, so
Oh, you're good.
have fun.
See,
Okay. I cleaned it
that's
off,
their
so
first Bond car.
Ah.
well, I cleaned the trash off of it.
Now,
It is a.
Yeah, no, I started cleaning and then forgot about stream.
It's an.
You stream. I'm gonna walk
It's
across the street.
a.
Use the bathroom sink, just trust me.
It's an
I'm not trying to
Aston
cross the
Martin
street.
DB5.
You want to go upstairs? Grab the...
See,
Now, as far as first cars go, now it's like I'm sure JT, you've probably had a first car by now, yeah? At least
It's
I-
sitting.
borrowed.
I still have my first car. It's sitting in my old man's garage because I screwed my license up. It's actually a 2000 Mitsubishi Galant. I beat the hell out of it. Okay, I backed into a mailbox and tore off my passenger side mirror. The windshield was cracked, and somebody put a rock through my driver's side windshield,
Ouch.
ow.
thinking that I was somebody else. We'll just put it that way. Somebody who was dealing in illicit goods. So, okay, you know what? I'll just generalize it. They put a rock through my windshield thinking I was the drug dealer next door.
Ah.
Well, if you got any Hershey bars, I'll buy from you.
I was pissed.
Yeah. Now, as far as like what I would like my first car to be, because I don't drive, despite being 20 years old. I know I'm fucking lazy, but my first car is a toss-up. One, I want like a giant-ass Sprinter van. It's horrible on gas mileage, but I could cart all my friends around. It'd be awesome. On the other hand, I want a Toyota Trueno. That's an AE86 and sleeper, because while it's not too fast, it corners like a boss.
Oh. And corners can make or break a race.
Yeah. Now I'm obviously not getting one with the intent of racing, but
I would.
between you and me, there's like a little section of road that goes downhill, all kind of twisty, just about a 45-minute drive from where I am. And the reason I want the AE86 is not just because it corners like a boss, but because of Initial D. JT is looking at me like I'm...
I sat through all 4 seasons of that. What got me about that anime is that well, 2 things. One, the design of the cars. They were fantastic. They were brilliant. And they actually used the engine sounds from every single car they drove. So all of their money went into the cars and the engine sounds, but not so much the character design.
Yeah, that was a little wonky, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Only a lot.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like, while I want an AE86 because of Initial D, I want the S30Z because of Wangan Midnight.
Huh.
Wangan Midnight. It's another racing anime, except instead of drifting, it's about racing on the Japanese Wangan, which is like an autobahn.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
However, I do like the idea of having like a big black van and spray painting it with chalkboard paint so that I could like sell advertising space on my van.
Big black van.
It's only creepy if it's a white van.
Okay.
If you have a black van with chalkboard paint, you can draw caricatures and advertising space, and you can write Mystery Machine all across it. JT wants to interject something.
No. Said no cable guy ever.
That's funny.
Actually, I used to give my brother Josh a lot of shit for having a big old white van because he was a cable guy. Like, so, I'm not going to tell any of the jokes because they just get
Please
really
do.
raunchy.
Please
Too
do.
raunchy for airwaves.
Okay.
Yep. So the reason I want the black one is like, firstly, bit of a rule is like if you get pulled over for obviously reasonable reasons, you were going too fast or something, if you can make the officer laugh, you might not get out of the ticket, but he'll work with you.
He might dumb down the ticket.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the reason I want like a car that I can use chalk on, so that if I get pulled over, I can stop and it's like, can I draw your caricature on my van and sketch him out?
That's great.
Put a little bubble, said, "This guy already pulled me over. Please give me a break."
Here's a joke I'll have to tell you after stream.
I'll be on.
But yeah, that's just kind of be fun to me, especially being able to lug all my friends around, lug my guitars around, especially.
Just start a band.
Somebody say band. I'm gonna start a low budget garage band that just just
Remakes.
plays covers of AC/DC and Metallica music.
Low budget garage band that plays covers of happy upbeat budget garage band that plays heavy metal covers of anime songs. Happy upbeat
actually,
J-pop.
Speaking of like garage bands and like starting off bands, has everyone here seen the movie Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny?
Yes.
I have not. No, I want to though. That sounds interesting.
It's just one of those weird movies that doesn't really have a moral. Essentially. Anyway, so my dad actually likes that movie because of how accurate it is to living life as a musician without any kind of fame.
Yeah.
The apartment is the first thing he mentioned. It's like, for a musician, you're going to have an apartment like that for a long time, especially with the like week-to-week rent on the place.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, the fact that they both used acoustic guitars. A lot of people who want to make it big in rock and roll can usually only afford a $120 acoustic instead of a nice electric and an amp. Me, I've got an Jackson Floyd Rose, an amp, and an Ovation. I lucked out.
Yeah, that or you're playing like that or your mommy paid for it, you know?
Yeah. And then obviously the fact that they had to borrow their friend's car, that they thought of their open mic night performance as something historical, the way Jables daydreamed when they were thinking about the Pick of Destiny. Tone says, Chaz, no, you won't find the Pick of Destiny. Stop. I will find the unholy plectrum. Wait, no, I can't. Satan got
it's
that
in
back.
Satan's mouth again.
Well,
You might be able
There
to
is
find
something.
Jack Sparrow did find Neptune's spear, so I'm sure Chaz Jack Sparrow did find Neptune's spear, so I'm sure you can find the Pick of Destiny. Oh my god, that just sounded like I say the Pig of Destiny. I meant Pick of Destiny. Why did I say Pig of Destiny? I will find the now that you're finding the Pick of Destiny. I'm gonna go look for the Pig of Destiny. It's a big golden pig.
But yeah, so like, except for the part about, Satan's tooth and the Pick of Destiny, it was very accurate to the lifestyle a young guitarist or artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well said to YouTubers.
Yeah.
Okay. I belonged to a band once, actually. I played bass in one.
What songs?
Yeah, hold that. Yeah, make all the jokes you want about me being the emo kid playing bass, but I like bass guitar. I like the sound.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's groovy.
Well, Chaz
What
remembers
jokes
what
did
I
I
looked
make?
like in high school, so it made sense.
Oh, true.
So you guys
To
do
answer your
remember we
question
did
there,
interact in high
Proton.
school.
Yeah, we went to high school together, actually.
Huh? Question?
There was a whole, you were there for that.
Yeah, I remember that, but I was I thought you guys only saw each other. I didn't know you guys interacted in high school.
No, we talked a lot in high school, actually, when he was here.
Actually, that's when we officially met and became friends. We may have known each other before then.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but we actually officially met and became friends in high school. There's a high chance that we had actually played together in preschool, hung around at like certain events in our local hometowns.
Yeah, okay.
Same playground.
Yeah, same playground, bingo. But we actually officialized our friendship in high school.
Oh, okay. Now that makes sense.
But to answer your question, Proton, about the songs that we played,
Hmm.
uh, Black Sabbath, Danzig,
Crazy Train?
actually it was Paranoid.
Okay.
We played Rammstein for some reason. Doesn't fit in at all. Let's see here. We played a couple hymn songs.
Him? Like, hymnal, right? That's what you mean?
No, HIM.
Him. What's that then?
You might recognize the symbol.
Not familiar with that symbol.
It's a love metal band.
Oh, okay.
Chaz might know him better.
I've seen the heartogram all over since elementary school.
Yeah,
What is
but
the
the
heartogram?
heartogramics, what was on my chest.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
I tell you what, he was
But
one of the only people I would switch hit for. Ville Valo. Sorry.
How is this
everyone
spelled?
gets
Heart of
like
what?
okay, so like that person for JT is like gacked for me.
Yeah. Ville Valo, he's amazing. He has a wonderful voice. A voice that makes my nethers quiver.
Ah. Anywho, so
She made an apology for bad audio on Twitter. Thank you, Tone. It was not my fault.
Oh, okay.
From now on, I'll make
Okay.
sure that I'm home for Sunday stream because that's the better option.
yeah.
Creep? Who's she calling
Oh,
a
she's
creep?
calling JT a creep. I think she's calling me a creep too for the gacked comment.
The gack? You mentioned gacked?
No, it's
Yeah,
JT.
it's like
It's always JT. It's always JT.
okay, so JT
Yeah.
and I each have like okay, it's admittedly homoerotic attraction to a guitar or to a musician.
Yeah.
Like I identify as straight. It's
Yeah,
pretty,
but-
man.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Uh,
this is not awkward. Because I'm a huge gacked fan as myself.
Yeah.
Can we change the
Anywho,
subject?
let's change the subject very quickly.
Before we amuse Tone.
Oh Jesus Christ! I forgot about that.
oh, shit.
She's
Quick
shipping
before fan
already, I
fiction
bet.
starts.
Oh, please, there won't be any fan fiction.
I hope not. At least not that tight.
Well, there might be fan fiction, but I most definitely will not be involved.
Give it a year or two.
Bullshit! No. I am not a favorite. I'm likable, but not a favorite.
Chaz is the favorite here.
Yeah.
I'm not the fake.
Yeah, you are.
Are you saying that people come to watch just because of my goofy ass?
Tone does.
Yeah.
I'm sure she has genuine interest in what we have to say, and that she's not just watching the stream.
I hear your sarcasm. The
This
sarcasm
mug.
is strong with you. The sarcasm is strong with this one.
Yeah, I'm sure of that too.
And you start playing the Weekend Dojo theme song.
Oh, that's something else up.
Oh, okay.
Tone says, I'm the favorite, you dicks.
Well, you are the most talkative on here, so yeah.
No, she's referring to herself.
Yeah, I know. Because she is the most talkative. in the
Yeah,
comments.
if she weren't around, we'd have nothing to talk about.
That is true.
Yeah.
So we're glad she keeps staying.
Thank
And
you
she's
for
an
being
official
here.
dojo master now, so
Yep, she's a member.
Maybe we can convince her to do a Sunday stream.
Ooh, that'd be great.
that'd be cool. Actually, JT, I wanted to talk to you about that. And again, it's a good point to mention here.
Mhm.
Is going to be moved to Saturday evenings, which means that the Wednesday slot and the Friday slots are still open.
Wait, what's being moved to Saturday evenings? Tokuchatsu?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of my job, my
Oh.
summer job.
Okay. Thursday is being reserved for
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk, which we have a topic for that. And yeah,
That leaves Wednesday and Friday open for future members. So we'll mention that again at the end. I think actually now would be a good time to wrap up. So let's talk about just what we're looking for in the dojo for now.
okay. Scheduling Tech Talk Thursday. Tech Talk Thursday. We talked about that's moving up till Thursday. We have a topic for that. Expect to be looking at graphic intensive computers under $500, but we will give you more on that
Ooh,
later
thanks. I might want to. I'll be watching that.
on. Okay.
Tokuchatsu is going to be moved to Saturday evenings, I believe 9 to 10:30. You said?
Yeah. Yes, 9 to 10:30.
Okay, so
Yes.
yep, Sunday stream is staying exactly where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Sunday
if
nights at
Tone Sunday nights at 7. Welcome back to the Dojo Sunday Night Stream, where they talk about absolutely whatever they can think of.
Yes. Insert epic voice guy's voice.
Da, da, da. Now, Tone, if you want something within that slot, those two slots specific to you, that's on you.
Yeah, if you wanted to do something about books or
Anime.
or
South Park.
was that a
Just-
South Park reference?
Yeah, I was trying to talk like a South Park character. Anime. South
Okay,
Park.
so JT, you were addressing Tone.
Yeah, so just get in contact with everybody and figure out what you want to do.
Yeah. In fact, you.
Again, you're not obligated.
Yeah, none of this is an obligation to any of us. We just do it because we want to.
I have
It's
an
a
idea.
fun time.
I have
Yes.
an idea. After the stream, if Tone's interested, would you like to have her on and then like just chat with us and plan stuff? Just an idea.
Well, if Tone's up for it, sure, we can throw her on to Hangouts.
Yeah.
But for now, let's talk about kind of how the dojo is going to work out. So, is more or less in charge of the Twitter right now, which I think is for the best. That way we don't have to keep jumping back and forth. And she's doing a great job with the Twitter. We don't have to take shifts anymore. For
No,
now,
that was bad.
me and JT are handling the Facebook page.
Yeah, that'll work
Alright.
out just fine.
Shall I start an amino profile for us on the YouTube small YouTubers amino?
There's a small YouTubers amino. I
Yes, there
need to
is.
pick that up so I can advertise.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Do you want me to be in charge of the small YouTubers amino advertising?
sure. Essentially, just tell them when we're starting the stream and whatnot.
Okay. Let me I'll use my amino profile and that'll be my name on the small YouTubers amino is Weekend Dojo.
Okie doke. We have said that a lot of, well, they're more streams than podcasts, but if you're not looking at the video, then it's still a podcast. But we're doing a lot of podcasts. We do want to start doing games and nonsense. So the nonsense is more or less the videos that we make that don't fit with our usual channel's shtick. Those will go on the dojo. Oh, by the way, guys, keep Tone in the loop on that.
Yeah.
Oh, so I should probably start posting my redacted statements on that.
Good idea. Now I can start posting reviewer stuff. I need to tighten the press rod. Once I actually stuff. I did recently is order a Meteor mic, which should fix some of my volume issues. I'm looking at some shock mounts too. So you guys will be hearing way better audio out of me, which also means that at some point, once I get it set up, I can actually record the Weekend Dojo theme. Just sitting there showing off his fancy new mic.
I'm sorry. I'm proud of it. It does me well. Actually, the audio on my next video is going to sound brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. For the Weekend
Yeah.
Dojos, for the description of the account on YouTube Amino, the Tubers Amino, what do you want it to say?
We'll discuss that after the stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we should probably cut out stream right about now. We're
Yep.
starting to drift into stuff that we should be talking about off stream.
Yep, we apologize for the little breaking of, what is this, the fifth wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're sorry for breaking the fifth wall, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have to manage your tone, she says.
That's punny.
Anyway, so we're going to have to cut out here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to discuss some stuff concerning Dojo social media and Dojo stuff. Keep an eye out for, again, Tech Talk is going to be on Thursday. Tokuchatsu is going to be on Saturday. Sunday stream isn't going anywhere.
Yep. Oh, something else also. Saturday, I will be streaming the dojo at live from Anime Mid-Atlantic Comic-Con. So if any of you guys want to come join in, remember I will be streaming there all day. That as of right now, unless anything changes, that's what the plan is. But I will keep you updated.
Well, shit.
Well, now he's getting all upset.
Not upset. I'm excited.
Yep. And then Tokuchatsu will be done at the con. I'm 99.9% going to be there. So there's only like a slight 1% I wouldn't be there. But anyways, if all goes well, Tokuchatsu will be done at the con at a eating table, because the con's at like a hotel.
Yep, and we'll probably do a quick tour of what's going on around there.
Yep. But I'll also be streaming throughout the day, so come in if you guys want to take a look at an anime convention.
Alrighty. So this has been JT Games TV.
This has been Proton Reviews and Fan Edits.
And this has been El Chiz Reviews, and working our way back. I'll see you later, bugheads.
Stay more phenomenal.
See you guys later.
Stay more phenomenal, everybody.
All right. And we are cutting.